Danny Burkes. I'm the director of Pivotal Labs here in Tokyo. I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. And I want to thank our translators for not making me do this in Japanese. What I'm going to talk to you about today is working with Pivotal Labs. So we heard earlier from our CEO, Rob Mee, about the mission of Pivotal, which is to transform the way the world builds software. And he talked about how we can help you do that by doing engagements with Pivotal Labs. So what I want to do in this presentation is give you some details about how that actually works, what an engagement with Pivotal Labs looks like, and how it accomplishes this goal of transforming you. Now, this is our mission statement, which we stated earlier. But another way to think about this is that what we want to do at Pivotal Labs is help great companies become great software companies. So how do we do that? Well, what we have found is that the best way to teach companies everything that we know about software development is to actually create something together. We have found that if we tell you modern methods of software development, and if we tell you modern methods of product definition, it doesn't really stick. Being told to do something isn't the same thing as doing it together. And we find that if we actually go into an engagement and create something with you and with your team, that your team will retain that knowledge to a much greater degree. So basically, there are 4 things that we want to do while we're engaged with you. We want to build something together so that what we learn during that process will be retained more so than if we just tell you what to do. We want to learn together, which means that what Pivotal Labs is bringing to an engagement with a client is a lot of expertise in software development, in product definition, in how to run user feedback sessions, things like that. We're bringing all that expertise in, but what you are bringing as a client is all your domain expertise. So Pivotal Labs is not an auto company. We're not an insurance company. We're not a bank, but you are. And so you're going to bring all this domain knowledge that you have, and you're going to teach that to us so that we can help make better decisions to improve the outcome of this project. So we're going to learn from each other. It's not just a one-way thing. We're going to teach each other. So we want to teach you everything we know about modern software development and modern platforms. And we want to learn from you how we can advise you to make the best priority decisions to get the best outcome for your business in this project. And finally, we put all these things together, and what it ends up being is that we improve together. So as we go through the project and we start delivering new working software to your users, and we start gathering feedback from those users and hearing what they like about what we've done, what they think needs improvement, and what they didn't really like. And we want to start doing more of the stuff that they like and less of the stuff that they don't like. And we want to just be able to deliver to them a continuously improving experience in this product. And as we see the feedback from them to that effect, that they are getting value and that value is increasing, we find that really energizes people on the team and makes them want to move faster and continue to improve. And so it becomes this continuously improving experience, both for the people working on the project and for your customers. So let's kind of break it down step by step. How do we do this? Well, what's the first step? We want to build a team, and we want to build a small team. So it's important to realize that as you think about transforming your business and transforming the tens or hundreds of software developers, maybe even thousands that you have now, it's important to start small. You don't want to do it or try to do it all at once. We want to start with a small team. So what does a small team mean? Well, we find that the right size to start at is a team of about 6 to 10 people. That's a team that's large enough to do a small software project and deliver something of real value to your users. And in that team of 6 to 10, we want mixed staffing. So that is to say, we want some of those people to come from Pivotal and some of those people to come from your companies. We find that the best ratio is 50-50. So if we have a 10-person team, the best scenario is if we have 5 of those people from Pivotal, 5 from the client. We can work in other ratios where sometimes clients want to get started on this journey, but they don't have enough people to staff 50% of the team. So we can overweight the team with Pivotal staff to begin, but we always want to be trending towards incorporating as many people from your company as possible so they can get the maximum training. So when we build a team of that size, what are the roles of the people in that team? What are they doing? Well, we have a very flat role structure in our teams, and there are only 3 roles. So the first role is software developer. So these are the people that actually write the code. You probably have some of these people already. Product designers. So product designers are the people who take the problems that are expressed by the users, the solutions we want to deliver, and they design a product to deliver those solutions. And the third role is product manager. So the product manager, again, takes the learnings that we have from the user, the problems that they have, the problems that we think we can solve, and prioritizes those problems and finds a way that we can deliver the most value to the user in the least amount of time. Because when you start a project, you're starting with very little user feedback. And in fact, at the beginning of a project, you know the least about your users that you should ever know, because as you progress through the project, you're going to be continuously gathering feedback from the users, and you're going to be learning. And it is the product manager's role to take all those learnings and synthesize them into a list of work to actually perform, to deliver those solutions to your customers. The third point is that we want to work face-to-face every day. This is critical, that we not work in a distributed team, that everyone on this team is in the same room, sitting at the same table every day working face-to-face. Because all of this learning that we want to impart to your team about how to do product development in this way, and how to do product design in this way, and how to do product software development in this way, all of that learning needs to take place face-to-face. It's the most effective face-to-face. So we ask you to send your team to our facility to do the projects so that they can focus on this project and nothing else, and that they can be free of distraction from the other things going on in the office where they're currently working. So working face-to-face is critical. And the last point is you want to deliver production-ready software every day. Production-ready means you could ship this to your customers if you wanted to. Now, there may be reasons that you don't want to yet because you're halfway finished with a feature that you want to deliver all at once to your customers. So there are some reasons why you don't want to release every day. Some teams do. That's a project-specific decision. But the point is, we're going to show you software development techniques that will allow you to deliver working production software every day. Okay, so that's the first step. Now you've built a team, all right? What do you do next? Well, next you build a backlog. Okay, so what's a backlog? A backlog is a list of work items that you want to do to deliver a solution to your customers. So having identified a problem that your customers have, a pain point that they have that you want to help them solve, here's a list of the 10, 20, 100 things that we need to do to get them a solution to that problem. So how do you build this backlog? How do you know what those 10 things are, or those 20 things, or those 100 things? Well, the first and most critical point is that you always want to focus on users, not technology. Every bit of effort that you put into this project should be pointed towards delivering something of real value to your user. That means typically we're not worried up front about which database we're going to use on this project. Maybe not even which language we're going to use to implement this. Every item in that backlog, that list of work items that you want to do, should deliver value to the user. And none of your users will experience any increased value from things like installing a new version of your database or provisioning 7 new servers. Those are things that you may need to do to deliver value to your users, to ship a new feature, but your focus should be on delivering that feature, and the technical aspects become a means to delivering that. The second thing when you're building a backlog is that you always want to build what the users want. That seems kind of obvious. We shouldn't spend any effort building things that they don't want. But typically in software projects, you spend a lot of effort building things users don't want, but you don't know that until later because you didn't release for a year, and you accumulated all this risk in the meantime. And then when you release, typically you discover that users really love 20% of what you did, and the other 80% may be wasted effort. So build what the users want. So how do you know what the users want? Well, really obvious. You go talk to them. You don't design products in a room like this with as much domain knowledge as you have. You don't have more knowledge of what your customers actually need than your customers do. So the best way to find that is to go and talk to the customers. Learn about their daily journey and where in that journey you can provide some extra value to them and help answer some of their pain points. And from that, you'll probably get a list of 5 to 10 things, concrete things that you could do to improve their experience with your brand. So go talk to them, and you'll find these things. And when you find those things, then you want to break those things into small, discrete chunks. So to solve a particular problem for a user, you may need to do 10 different things. So let's break that problem down and the delivery of the solution to that problem down into very small, discrete chunks of value, which is to say that one line item in a backlog should be something that typically that the team can deliver in a day or less. So you don't want to see things in the backlog that the team works on for a week before delivering, because you want to get it out there to the user sooner than that. Because the reason you want to ship as soon as possible is because you cannot get feedback until you ship. And feedback is from users actually using your software. It's the most valuable thing you can possibly get. Okay, so now you've built a backlog. You've got a team, you've got a backlog, you're ready to start going. So what do you do next? Well, you pair. So when Rob Mee spoke earlier, he talked about pair programming as one of the methods that we use in software development, and as one of the ways that we transfer to your developers everything we know about how to write software and produce product in this way. Well, it's important to realize that we don't just pair with your developers. We also pair in the other two roles. So we pair our designers with your designers to teach them how to do product design in this methodology, which is significantly different than the way design is traditionally done in waterfall, where you produce a design, it's final, it's done, and then you hand it over to development to implement. It's more of a interspersed design working in parallel with the development, considering feedback from users to tweak the design in real time. So we're going to pair with your product designers to teach them that. We're also going to pair with your product manager to teach them about how to build a backlog, how to prioritize that backlog, how to run sessions to get feedback from users, how to synthesize that feedback into something real that can change the direction of your team or inform where you go next in this project and what problem you try to solve for the user next. And when you pair in all three of these roles, what happens is that you realize that this learning that's taking place is happening every minute as a part of every activity that you do. So we don't have a place in our engagements set aside for learning. There's no separate time during the week where we're going to teach your developers how to do test-driven development. There's no time set aside where we're going to teach your designers how to do product design in this methodology. That is just happening every minute of every day. Okay, so you've got a team, you've got a backlog, you're pairing, that is to say you're executing on that backlog. So what happens then? Well, then you're able to deliver value continuously. And what I mean by that is that you're going to be continuously producing shippable software. Now, as I said earlier, some teams do continuous delivery, which means that as new work items are completed, they're actually shipped to the end user. Some teams do that, some teams don't. The point really is that you want to get to a point where you are never prevented from releasing software to your users because that software is broken. The software is always working, the software is always releasable, then it becomes a business decision when to release the software, not a technical decision. You want to gather feedback regularly, so just as you talk to users before you started to find out how to start, you want to talk to them every time you release. You want to go back out and talk to users and say, that thing we just released, how did that work? Did it help you? Did it actually solve the problem? Was it slightly wrong? Should we tweak it? Gather feedback and then adjust your priorities and directions as needed per that feedback. So why does this software exist? It exists to solve a problem for the user. Is it solving that problem? Well, it's solving 90% of it, but we need to tweak a little bit. Okay, let's tweak it and let's go in that direction. When you deliver software like this and you talk to users after delivering that software, what that allows you to do is find product market fit a lot faster at a much lower cost. So I talked before about traditional software development being kind of a big bang thing where we work on a product for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, release it, and then hope that everything that we assumed 18 months ago is still true. There's a lot of risk in that. There's a huge amount of risk. The risk is that, well, in the 12 months that you've been developing this, the market changed. There's also just a risk that you were wrong. The market's the same, but the assumptions you made about how to solve users' problems were wrong. So how do we mitigate that risk? Well, one great way to mitigate it is to make this thing that you release a lot smaller. So let's take it from 12 months down to 6. Let's keep going. Let's go down to 3, down to 1. How about every week? How about every day? People like Facebook, people like Uber, people like Google, they're releasing every hour. You can do that too with a methodology like this. And if you're able to do that, that risk that you're incurring over that 12 or 18-month cycle, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you can deliver value with much lower risk, because it makes the cost of being wrong much smaller. And you're going to be wrong a lot of the time. That's just the nature of this business. So, to summarize, how does this process work? Well, you got to do 6 things. You got to discover what to build, and you do that by talking to users. You got to prioritize. So, these are the 5 things we can do to bring value to our customers. What order should we do them in? You got to prioritize. What can we do first? What can we do that in the shortest amount of time to get a solution in the hands of our users? Once you prioritize, you got to start implementing. You got to pair in every role, and you got to follow our techniques of pair programming, test-driven development, continuous integration, deploying to a cloud. And that allows you to release that thing quickly. And after you release it, you got to gather feedback. And then most importantly of anything that I say, you got to repeat. Software is never finished. If you are going to get into the software business, you have to understand that the software business is a perpetual business. Software is only finished on the day that you decide to kill it. The getting from no product to version 1 as fast as you can used to be the way to win. But that's not the way to win anymore, because that's not what consumers expect. How you win is you get to version 1 pretty quick, but then you get from version 1 to version 1.1 to version 1.2 to version 2 to version 3. You iterate quickly. So iteration is the key to winning at software these days, and that's the repeat step. So where you want to get in terms of your ability to iterate is you want to get cycle times in days, not months. not years, maybe not even days. I mean, I chose days because I didn't want to scare you. But in reality, you need to get to less than days. But let's start with days. You got to build less at a time. In the increment, build less. That'll lower your risk of being wrong, because you're going to be wrong sometimes. So let's make that cost of that as low as possible. You got to trust your users. So the feedback that you hear from your users after you release and the information that you gather from them before you start, trust that. They know what they need more than any of us know what they need. And finally, you got to trust your team. You got to trust your product manager to take that feedback from users and incorporate that into the backlog and change the direction of the team. You got to trust them to take the knowledge they have of your market and your customers, put that together with what they're hearing from real users, and change the direction of the team. You got to trust your designers to design solutions to those problems that will bring that value to your users very quickly. And you got to trust your developers to develop code in such a high quality way that you can iterate quickly. The key here is that doing this, trusting your team, means that you have to take the traditional command and control style of hierarchical composition of a software team, where all the decisions are made at the top. And you've got to push that trust all the way down to the team and let the team make these decisions on the ground every day. So when you do an engagement with us, what does success mean? What does success mean to us? Well, let me tell you what we think a successful engagement is. A successful engagement is one where we produce a product that your users love. We produce a team for you that can continue iterating after we're gone. Just to be really clear, we're only successful when you don't need us anymore. So we really want to work ourselves out of a job. You get cultural value plus business value. So we created a real product that has real business value for you. And while doing that, we taught your team everything we know about how to do software development in this way, how to do product design in this way, and how to do product management in this way. So you get all this learning, and you get some real business value as well. And Rob talked earlier about transformation, which is a bigger topic. Like that's how to do this across your whole organization. Well, this is the genesis of that, is that the people that you put into this first project, they are the staff that can lead that effort for you internally. They can take this knowledge back and spread it to other teams. So this is the first step to transforming yourself. So finally, I'd just like to say that, as Rob said earlier, taking your 20, 50, 100 years of domain knowledge that is inside your business now, and putting that together with the ability to execute quickly, and the things that we can teach you about how to become a great software company, if you can do that, there's no one that can compete with you. Because the software companies that are coming to disrupt you now, they have a lot of the knowledge that I'm talking about how to be software companies, but they don't have the domain knowledge that you have. You know your customers, and you know your market better than anyone. And you're most of the way there to being a great software company. You've got all this knowledge that nobody else has. You just need to know how to apply that in software, and we can help you with that. So really what you want to do is just unlock this innovation potential that you already have. And the way you do that is with these two things, modern tools and modern methods. And we can teach you both of these things within an engagement with us. So to sum up, we're here to help. We would love to work with everyone in this room. And if you want to come do a project with us, just take the elevator down to the 20th floor. That's where we're located. Thank you.